Jim Joyce, how are
It
you,
sounds
man?
like you're on the move, my friend.
This is
Cutting
the
and dealing,
first
moving and
time,
shaking.
first time
I
that
know.
I'm the late one,
I
and
know.
very late. So this is going to
Easy,
be a lightning
easy.
fast. Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. All right, all
Well,
right.
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to see you, and hopefully your prospecting and investor and fundraising and company building was all successful. So it was for a good cause. Do you want me to kick off this intro here?
Yeah. Go the intro, and I'll let.
Let's go right for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have, I'm really, really excited for this guest. We'll let, and maybe we can let Malin in now as we go through. So Malin and I have a storied history together where she is the most patient person in the world in digital healthcare, in my opinion. She had to listen to more idea generation from Jim Joyce than anyone else in the world as a client working with me, and now on the other side of it. So thank you for staying up late from Copenhagen, France. Where are we? Hey,
Oh,
Malin.
I mean, yeah, hello everyone, or the two of you,
hello.
Yeah.
Jean. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm in France.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, in our country house, and it's a lot of things that is good with France. Internet connection is not one of
Well, we can hear you very clearly, so that's
them.
great. So,
Great.
Malin, I'll let you. Our custom is that you introduce yourself. Usually, Eugene does this part of the moderation,
But you
and
guys have a special bond, and I can't wait to hear the inside stories about Jim
yeah.
Joyce.
Well, she's in a respectable big corporation, but the truth, but let's see, Malin I'll kick you off, Malin. We'd like to hear the whole kind of, first of all, the history about you, but just for people that don't know, um, your global digital health innovation. I probably got the technical names. I'll let you correct that, from Novo Nordisk. Had kind of different roles inside AbbVie Pharmaceuticals, and then your most exciting part of your tenure was definitely working with a little company called Health Beacon. But I'll let you speak to that. And you're a soccer aficionado. So over to you, Malin. Tell us, who is Malin Johansson?
Wow, that was a big. I totally agree to that. 3 years in my life where I spent at Health Beacon was one of the highlights for so yeah, no, first, thanks for bringing me on. Super excited to have a bit of a chat with you guys.
A
So
shot
yeah,
or chat?
uh,
A shot?
A shot.
A shot of digital health. Yeah, that's right.
we all need that, right? Yeah, no, it's been a bit of a different path, for me. I started in research, actually, back in the days, doing research in ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, standing in the lab and doing a lot of fun things. Got recruited into the medtech space by Abbott Diabetes Care, actually, and thought at that point was like, wow, okay, is this something that I want to do? But I was a bit bored, to be honest, with the research. So I jumped on it, and yeah, it was an amazing ride. Got to learn the medtech space, diabetes, first and foremost. Launching the first version, I would say, of Freestyle Libre at that point, Freestyle Navigator. Well, it was a
Oh, that
game
was the
changer.
name? That was the original name, the Navigator? Huh.
Freestyle Navigator was the first one. Really a game changer for patients and and parents and caregivers.
Yeah.
Because in Sweden, where I worked, it was mostly kids that got that. So that was really great to be part of that journey. And then I joined the AbbVie side, on the pharma side, with Humira. Was brought into the patient experience. It was not called patient experience by that time. It was called adherence. So I had a really fancy adherence manager. Cool, but it transferred into patient experience. So and then quite fast I moved into a European role, where building up and launching AbbVie Care. for Humira. Went to Paris, fall in love with both Paris with a French. So since then, I was kind of stuck in France to say yeah. So no, I mean it's and then I moved into the global organization after a couple of years as well. Strategic marketing, immunology, strategic operations. Was dealing with everything from digital health initiatives to more AbbVie branding, so to say. Yeah. And then I called up Jim after I think 12 years, and asked, should we work together? Can we work together? And I was lucky that he's.
I was going to say, assume the answer was yes, based on his introduction.
I don't think it was a given. I think he was a bit afraid that I would bring too much of big pharma into the small, company called Health Beacon.
Not at all. Not at all.
I managed to convince him, and then we had 3 really fun years, and then I moved back to big corporation again with a lot of learnings that I got over from the startup side. So yeah, and that's where I am today.
So many questions.
Oh yeah.
So I love the trajectory of from research to, let's call it, marketing commercialization, right? Because I think there's such a long path to seeing things come alive, right, in research. And then you're kind of switching gears to a young, crazy idea startup, and then back to pharma. And I'm sure there are, pros and cons, and I would like to focus on the pros because we all can list cons all day, but one versus the other, because I have the similar perspective. So I'm kind of trying to compare notes, right? I've been kind of big company, small, big company, small. So curious on your learnings and the things that you learned in large, but also learned with Health Beacon.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I always been a bit of an odd bird in big corporations, probably, where I think with Health Beacon I was more into kind of the way of working that I prefer. This fast-paced, shorter decision time frames. If we wanted to do something, we did it. We didn't have to wait 9 months before governance and the minutes from the governance meeting, and then another round of meetings to actually move things forward. So that has always been kind of a bit of an impatient within me when I worked in the big corporation, but also probably a strength, I hope, because I managed to move things forward and maybe bring some different perspectives into how things can be done and not should be done according to processes.
And the role now, right? So just maybe as much as you're comfortable talking about it, like it's a big role. It's a big role. Maybe just describe what you're doing now a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm heading up what we're calling the Global Digital Health Strategic Partnership team at Novo Nordisk. So what the team and I, what we are doing is that we are identifying, we are establishing, we are running big global partnerships. So we have a couple of them that is public, obviously with Abbott Diabetes Care. We're working with Medtronic, with Dexcom, with Gluco, with Amalgam, etc. Mm-hmm. So and here we are looking at integration of our own connected devices, such as NovoPen, as an example, into broader ecosystems to bring more value to patients and HCPs. And then on top of that, we are also supporting patients and HCP with DTX products, with this SAMD as a service, both, and also regulated and unregulated digital health solution. It's everything with a kind of a global scale hat on that we are doing.
You know, it's interesting, right? And I think obviously every company, you know, looks for partnerships. And I think I find it, generally speaking, in kind of large organization, there's this, you know, it depends on the DNA of the company, but not invented here principle, especially, you know, because pharma companies, it's all about IP, it's all about developing molecule. Yes, there's in licensing, but let's put that a lot of that to the side. How are your what?
The in licensing, we invent everything.
I don't think there's any secrets around that. But I'm you know, it's always curious to kind of hear how companies, and again, you don't need to speak Novo Nordisk, but like your experience on across the pharmaceutical companies that you've been with, that eagerness to work with a startup or a young company versus, you know, well, no, we can do this here.
I think it's a balance. I mean, in Novo, for example, and we do both. We are developing our own, you know, connected devices and our own solutions, but we're also partnering a lot. So I think there is a I'm kind of debating that with myself, because I've been quite critical in the beginning, in the past, of, you know, why should pharma do this on their own? And, you know, it takes time. You know, we are so regulated, we can't do all of the things that we would like to do, and so forth. But it's also kind of a learning path. I don't think pharma, and this is my own, you know, personal, you know, opinion, right? I don't think pharma will be the kind of the key manufacturer of DTX solutions or SAMD as a service, or you know, even connected devices in 10 years from now. I think that will be with someone else that has, you know, expertise that can move faster, and et cetera, et cetera. But I think there is a benefit of actually being part of that journey now, also to learn and understand what it actually takes to bring this to the market. And I mean, big pharma has those muscles, right, in terms of resources and you know, and time as well, because it takes time to actually invest. And so I think that it's a good path to be on, but at some point that has to be kind of maybe cut off. That's what I feel, at least for now. But you know, who knows? That might change.
You know what I wanted to go into was snowboarding.
Hey, I'm in. Let's go.
So first of all, like, when I think of you, Malin, I think of snowboarding. Yeah, I think of you have very accomplished daughters in football, and you love football.
Yeah.
And then I think of you as a global citizen. I've never seen someone travel the world as fast as you, with the exception of maybe ourselves here. But I said like so let's hit snowboarding. How can you relate snowboarding, your love of snowboarding, to your career?
Oh, honestly, it was a long time I actually did snowboarding. Probably was 5 years ago now. I don't know why. But I did love snowboarding before. So how can I translate that? I think it is a bit of the kick, right? It is to try out. I mean, so many times I've tried to jump and do, you know, in the slopes, and I just failed and almost killed myself. And I think I you know, it's not that dramatic in business, but it's part of that, I would say, trial and fail and get up again. You get a lot of bruises, for sure. For sure. That was actually, I didn't think about that, Jim, you know, before, you know, that was a good analogy. But I think there is something in me that I constantly want to test and push things. And I you know, sometimes, you know, negative feedback I've got is that, you know, maybe I have a difficult to take a no for an answer. Business, and that's probably true.
That sounds like a type A personality.
For sure.
But you know, I think it's there is something around that, you know, try to do something else and something new that no one really has done before, and, you know, to stretch. The football, I don't know. I'm just a happy participant, you know. On the
And for
Don't,
the Americans watching this, can you clarify which football?
it's soccer.
I did that on purpose. Yeah.
They get PSG plays and Real Madrid and all of those, small teams.
Yeah.
So I know, Jim is kind of like, drilling you, but like you mentioned earlier, you've known him for a long time. Give him an inside scoop. What is it like to work with this guy? Because we've been
Jesus.
friends.
You want to stay friends.
When did I meet you, Jim, for the first time? Was that 2014 or 2015?
It was when Health Begin was being invented, right? It was like, yeah.
It was really in the beginning, and I remember my patient experience lead in Ireland when she was calling me up, and she said, "Oh, can I get on the next team call to present this amazing pilot project that we're doing here in Ireland?" And I said, yeah, of course. And she went on and she presented that, Health Beacon, and this was a smart waste disposal bin, and it did all of these things, and we can get all of the data. And I think, I was like, wow, that's amazing. For the first time, we would know how a patient taking Humira, first if they take it, and and how they take it, and that was the kind of, it was such a mind-blowing thing, right, to be able to get that data, those insights. And I think we met, shortly after that. I was like, okay, now I understand what she was talking about, right? This is really cool. So I think, and then, we worked really close together for a couple of years, and then, we stayed in contact. But I think, for me, joining Health Beacon was, a really, super valuable step in my career. And I think, what I learned from Jim, and which probably I'm a bit, from my team now, they hear me saying focus all the time. And that's what actually, I hear Jim in the back of my head, like focus. And being this, we talked about that a lot, being obsessed in one market or obsessed in one channel, and really win over that. And that is something that I really learned. And I'm trying to translate also, to my team, obviously, because we, as you can, things being thrown at us at the same, really exciting things. And, me as a person want to jump on all of them. But then I hear this focus.
Okay.
That's how you win, right? If you read and not trying to do everything at once. So
yeah.
So
isn't that the superpower, right? Isn't that the superpower of a smaller company, right? Is that like you can go boom, right? You can. The big companies have to cover so much ground.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you can do more, obviously, as a big company, but don't underestimate the power of focus, even in big companies. So.
So I do want to get to, and I know this is probably going to be one of our shortest episodes, just because we got squeezed. My apologies.
No problem.
Really, but I do want to get to a hot subject here, GLP-1s, and I don't want to talk all the nonsense out there. That's not. How does that actually relate to digital health? You guys have efforts around it. What's the, again, putting all the other stuff to the side?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's not a secret, right, that the GLP-1s has grown very much, the last couple of years and year, definitely. And for us in Novo Nordisk, it's a really high focus, which means that we have in-field teams, which focus also from detailing and communicating to endocrinologists and and specialists to more to the primary care. So there is definitely a shift in that. Where digital health come in play, it definitely comes into play to a large extent, and it's everything from, I would say, supporting patients, obviously, but also supporting HCPs. To be able to prescribe these medications, because in most cases these medications are prescribed by a GP. And the GP, you know, cover a lot, and they are not specialists. So the challenge for them is to obviously stay on top of the newest science and all of that. So there is a lot of effort going into that from our end, looking at, you know, how could we as a pharma company also use other types of, you know, distribution channels for digital health solutions to reach patients faster and more effective. How can we use an omni-channel approach also to reach HCPs?
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, for us, it's definitely on top of our agenda to leverage digital health for GLP-1s, and it's an ongoing effort and a growing effort.
And
Awesome.
you know, and I think, you know, maybe one more, and I'm actually curious on kind of the lifestyle around it, right? Because I think that's a key component of this, and I know there's companies in US that sort of do the GLP-1 with surrounding lifestyle modifications.
We've had we've had Found on here, and there's Calibrate,
right.
and all these guys.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, digital CBT, for example, you know, personally, I'm a big believer in that. I think, you know, if you look back maybe 5, even 10 years, CBT as a support tool to patient was really expensive and really clunky. And in most cases, you need to have kind of a nurse to call up a patient, or you even had, you know, one-to-one, you know, face-to-face sessions. There's so much more you can do now digitally that is scalable. So that's also something that we are indeed looking into. You know, how can we incorporate that into the support solutions and in kind of the ecosystem that we provide to patients. So it is indeed, I mean, when we're talking about type 2 diabetes here, which is a very complex disease in many ways. And just focusing on, you know, adherence, or just focusing on, you know, maybe, you know, titration, which is important, and it has to be part of the support. It also very relevant of looking at other types of support that exist.
Awesome. Well, if I didn't have a prospect call in about 4 minutes, I would love to dive deeper. But Jim, why don't you take it away with your famous end question? And my last quick comment on this is, we typically, you know, listened or watched about 50 to 60% through. This one, because it's so much shorter, I'm expecting 100% viewership through the whole episode.
Awesome.
So.
And they missed the best question. So imagine yourself, you're walking through the fields of Paris, of France, of Brittany. You're walking through the field, and you're gonna join your beloved Frenchman husband for a glass of red wine and a pleasant afternoon, and you're retired from a massively successful career, and you're there, and a young woman sees you and says, "Malin," and she looks at you, and I know you, Malin. You appeared famously on the Shot of Digital Health back a number of years ago, and the video went viral, and you know, and you had your career. I'm originally from Sweden, and I've traveled the world with pharmaceutical companies. I started off as a researcher, and then I got involved in technology startups. But now I have a startup of my own, and I think it's perfect for the pharmaceutical industry. I think it can digitize behavior and adherence and bring everything all together. And you look at that young version of yourself, and what would be the one piece of advice you would give to her?
Oh la la, that's a big one. That's a big one. Yeah, I would probably say 2 things. Can I say 2 things?
Of course.
2.
Yeah. But quickly.
I would say keep the helicopter view. Aim to solve bigger problems than just one, even if you are trying to solve, you know, put it in perspective. Always, and keep that helicopter view, so you know where you are in the world. And then I would probably say that the power is not about what you know, it's not in the knowledge, it's how you actually translate the knowledge into action. And that's also how you communicate and how you pitch.
Wow.
So
I'm
that's
gonna
probably
start quoting you.
And I wish I knew that before. I was young, bruises and stuff, you know,
Love
during
it.
the wave. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Apologies,
Thank-
but again, we're gonna drive the length of listening to the episode way higher. So that's the positive side. Thank you all.
Cool. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Malin.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Bye-bye.